Big congrats to it, which earned an incredible $117 million in its first 3 days.
Big time.
It's insane.
Big money.
In addition to being the highest opening weekend of any horror movie ever, it was also the biggest debut for any movie in September.
Yeah.
So they have a sequel being fast-tracked by Warner Brothers, and the question around town is, who should play the adult losers in the sequel?
Haha! So we put our little brain trust together and came up with our castings for the adult losers in It Chapter 2. But before we go on with that, I do want to say what this might mean for the movie business itself overall. Like, I remember a few years ago, the summer movie season was just considered June, July, and August. Like your big blockbusters from Independence Day to Jurassic World, whatever. It came out only in those 3 months, like solely. It was like a rule in Hollywood. Then a little movie studio known as Marvel came out, and they released their first blockbuster, Iron Man, in May. And that was like a game changer. Hollywood was like, wait a minute. Yeah, they're like, if we release movies in other parts of the year, we can make more money. What? And it's worked for them so well. Since then, January and September have still been known as dumping grounds for movies. But January's sort of been fighting back recently with movies like American Sniper and what's the one with the lady black astronaut? Hidden Figures. Don't take my black card. I remembered it. These movies gaining like big box office numbers in January. So the last sort of stronghold for if this movie's crap, you put it, because even Deadpool came out in February, big box office there. But if a movie's crap, you still put it in September. It proves that no, if you put out a good movie, even in September, it will make money.
Okay, so adult losers for It Chapter 2. Our lead, we've handpicked a very talented,
For Bill.
fine actor.
Yes, yes.
For Bill, his name is Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo.
You may have heard of him.
You may have heard of him. I feel as though he can carry a movie like this, but he's not so big where he might say no. I also thought it was kind of smart. Obviously, in the novel, they are kids, but by having kids in the first movie, you can pay them cheap, to be honest. But for the second one, especially if it's success, which this was a quantifiable success, you can bring in some bigger movie stars.
Right, and also keep in mind that we tried to pick adults that kind of resembled. We feel like these kids would grow up somewhat looking like.
We did side by side and played the Hollywood. This is like Michael Fassbender looks nothing like Ian McKellen. But in Hollywood, it's like, they're both British with strong jaws. So they could have been the same person. Exactly. All right. Our Beverly, we were thinking Julianne Moore.
Yes. Perfect. I mean, they not only do they have the similar facial features, but Julianne Moore can just kind of play that tortured, tough girl character.
And spoiler alert for those of you who have never read the book or watched the original movie, a lot of the crap that Bev went through in her home, won't spoil that part, but let's say a lot of that abuse translates over when she becomes an adult and she still like dates guys that don't treat her so great.
Oh no.
Yeah, so red hair, similar features. Julianne can bring that sort of darkness as you described. Yeah, I think that'd be an awesome one.
Okay. And next we have Stanley as Orlando Bloom, given if he can do a proper American accent.
Exactly. It's a bit of a stretch. Out of everyone we chose, we thought Orlando Bloom might be the one who's like...
He was our wild card.
He's a wild card.
I just, I looked at his face and I was like, I see Stanley.
Yeah. I mean, he's got pirates money. He probably doesn't need to do a horror movie, but hell.
Could be fun to see him.
You got
like,
pirates money.
What has he been up to?
Thank you. You got pirates money. Do something fun.
Yeah.
And if you had actors of this caliber, why wouldn't you want to hang out with them on set for 3 months?
Yeah.
Sounds like a good time. Okay, our Mike. I was proud of this one. I thought of this as I'm sitting in the theater watching this movie because I'm picturing like who would play everyone. Instantly, I see Mike the Black Kid. I'm like Cuba Gooding Jr. Like that.
It's a perfect match.
That kid is Cuba in 27 years.
Honestly, every time I think of Cuba, all I think is Snow Dogs. But
see, for me, it's Jerry Maguire.
But Snow Dogs.
but seriously, Snow Dogs.
Snow Dogs is a great piece of art. But yeah, I think he'd be really interesting to see in this. And again, another person, like, what has he been up to?
He mostly does Netflix movies now. I promise you, out of everyone we dreamcast, if there's one person who I believe would say yes, it is Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Our Eddie, This one had to happen for me.
This is an Alex pick. I signed off on it, but she brought the thunder with this one.
Eddie, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Sure.
Because Jake Gyllenhaal is a brooding, handsome, sexy young man.
I'll sign off on the brooding. But yeah, for those of you who have seen Donnie Darko, because in the movie, Eddie is sort of like a hypochondriac. He's sort of skittish, a little squirrely.
You need a little neurotic.
Neurotic, perfect, thank you. Couldn't find the word, but a little neurotic. In Donnie Darko, that's his character. He's weird and squirrely.
And hot.
And what?
We just had this debate. He doesn't see Jake Gyllenhaal as like a sex symbol, but I'm pretty sure that he is.
Yeah. All right. I mean, all right. Ben, the heavyset, lovable researcher in the movie. He was the one that sort of gave all the answers and dumped a lot of exposition. Now, stay with us for a second. For you purists who know that Ben in the novel and book grows up, he loses the weight because he didn't like being heavy as a kid, sort of becomes something of a womanizing playboy. What if, because you don't want to take away representation for your heavier folk out there.
Exactly.
What if we keep him big, but also keep him sort of a douchey womanizer, Jack Black?
Exactly. We're thinking shallow Hal Jack Black. Douchey womanizer, but still chubby and lovable.
Lovable. Like, he can walk that line between scummy and lovable, where you're like, you are a scumbag, but I can probably understand why you're a scumbag. Like, you were picked on as a kid, weren't you? Exactly. All right, I get it. Yeah. All right.
So, that was a good one. And then last, we have our Richie as Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell. Now,
would love Sam Rockwell.
This was almost one of those like mutual light bulb moments because like we're looking at actors and she says Samwell and like we both like look up from our computers and it's like yes. I had no idea we both had sort of like an affinity for Sam Rockwell.
We both said he's an underrated actor.
So underrated.
So good in like all of his films.
Anything I've seen him in, this guy's amazing. From playing the bad guy in Iron Man 2 to what's the movie he did where he played the game show host who said he was also a member of the CIA and Chuck. Damn it, I'm gonna lose my film card for this. I'll put it up in the screen, so you'll see it there.
That's a member of the CIA.
It's based on a true story. There was a game show host in the 70s, Chuck Barris. I think Chuck Barris was the real guy's name, and he claimed to be. He was a game show host and producer. He's done shows like from the Gong Show to the Newlywed Show, all this stuff, and he claims that he was also a secret undercover member of the CIA who carried out like all these assassinations and missions and stuff.
Does the CIA support that claim?
Well, it would be classified, so we don't know, but that's what he says he does. Oh, Charlie's Angels was the other thing I was thinking of. As a movie as terrible as that, the one bright spot in that movie was Sam Rockwell, and for those of you Sam Rockwell fans, we might get some dancing, because that man loves to dance.
This is true.